Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey back in time, tracing the footsteps of merchants, monks, and warriors along one of the most legendary networks in human history, the Silk Road. This wasn't just one road, but a vast web of trade routes that connected the East and West for over 1,500 years. It was the world's first superhighway, a lifeline that didn't just carry goods, but also ideas, religions, cultures, and even empires. So grab your virtual passport, because we're about to explore how this incredible network shaped the world we live in today. So where does the story begin? To understand the birth of the Silk Road, we need to travel back to the 2nd century BCE, to the Han Dynasty in China. The Emperor Wu, was facing a major problem: constant raids from the nomadic Xiongnu tribes to the north. He needed all eyes, and he needed a special kind of horse, the powerful, heavenly horses of the Fergana Valley in modern-day Central Asia. To find them, he sent a daring envoy named Zhang Qian on a mission west. Zhang Qian's journey was an absolute odyssey. He was captured by the Xiongnu not once, but twice, spending over a decade in captivity. But he eventually escaped and completed his mission, returning to China with invaluable knowledge about the world beyond its borders. He brought back stories of powerful civilizations, rich markets, and those legendary horses. His reports were a revelation. They opened China's eyes to the possibilities of trade and diplomacy with the West, planting the seeds for what would become the Silk Road. It was this quest for security and prized horses that inadvertently unlocked a new era of global connection. Now, why call it the Silk Road? Well, the star of the show was, without a doubt, silk. For centuries, China held a monopoly on silk production. The process of raising silkworms and weaving their threads into lustrous fabric was a jealously guarded state secret. In the West, particularly in the Mongol Empire, silk was the ultimate luxury item. It was worth its weight in gold, a symbol of immense wealth and status. Roman senators and elites were so obsessed with this shimmering fabric that it caused a moral panic and a major trade deficit. Pliny the Elder, a Roman author, even complained about the fortunes being drained from the empire to pay for these webs of woven wind. But the traffic on the Silk Road was far from a one-way street. While silk flowed west, a torrent of other goods traveled east. From the west came gold, silver, glassware from Rome, wool, and linen. Central Asia provided those famous horses, jade, and exotic fruits like grapes and pomegranates. India exported fragrant spices like cinnamon and pepper, cotton textiles, and precious stones. This wasn't just a simple swap of goods at a border. It was a complex relay system. A Roman merchant might sell glassware in Antioch, which would then be bought by a Persian trader, carried across the mountains, and sold to a Sogdian merchant in Samarkand, who would then take it further east. It was this chain of middlemen that made the entire network function. The journey itself was incredibly perilous. Imagine crossing vast, scorching deserts like the Teklemekane place, whose name ominously means, "You go in, but you don't come out." Travelers had to navigate treacherous mountain passes, like the Pamirs, often called the roof of the world. They faced sandstorms, blizzards, and the constant threat of bandits who lurked along the routes, ready to ambush caravans. To survive, merchants traveled in large caravans, sometimes with hundreds of camels. Camels were the ships of the desert, perfectly adapted to carry heavy loads over long distances with little water. Along the way, a series of oases and caravanserai roadside inns sprang up, providing vital points for rest, replenishment, and trade. Cities like Samarkand, Bokhara, and Kashgar became glittering hubs of commerce and culture. But perhaps the most profound impact of the Silk Road wasn't the exchange of silk or gold, but the exchange of ideas. This network was a conduit for thought, art, technology, and faith. Buddhism, originating in India, traveled east along these routes, carried by monks and merchants. It found fertile ground in Central Asia and eventually became a major religion in China, Japan, and Korea. The magnificent Buddhist cave temples at Dunhuang, filled with stunning murals and scriptures, stand as a testament to this incredible cultural diffusion. Christianity, in the form of Nestorianism, also journeyed east, establishing communities all the way to the Chinese coast. Islam, spreading from the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century, moved both east and west, profoundly shaping the cultures of Persia and Central Asia. These faiths didn't just move. They interacted, blended, and sometimes conflicted, creating a complex and vibrant spiritual landscape. This was globalization in its infancy, a time when your neighbor's beliefs could come from 1,000 miles away. The Silk Road also facilitated a massive transfer of technology and knowledge. Papermaking, a Chinese invention, traveled west and eventually revolutionized communication and record-keeping in the Islamic world and Europe. Gunpowder, another Chinese innovation, followed a similar path, forever changing the nature of warfare. From the West and the Middle East, China gained knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. Musical instruments, artistic styles, and even games like chess and polo were passed back and forth, enriching cultures on both ends of the continent. The world was becoming smaller, more interconnected, and far more interesting. Every golden age has its twilight. The decline of the Silk Road was a slow process, driven by several factors. The rise of powerful maritime trade routes, championed by European explorers in the 15th and 16th centuries, offered a faster, cheaper, and often safer alternative to the arduous overland journey. Why spend months crossing deserts and mountains when you could sail from Europe to India or China in a fraction of the time? Political instability also played a huge role. The collapse of major empires that had once protected the routes, like the Han Dynasty in China and the Mongol Empire, created a power vacuum. Without a strong central authority to police the roads and ensure safe passage, banditry increased and the once bustling trade routes became fragmented and dangerous. The great network that had connected civilizations for a millennium began to unravel. The caravans grew smaller, the oases fell into disuse, and the once glorious cities of the Silk Road slowly faded into the desert sands. But the story doesn't end there. The legacy of the Silk Road is all around us. It's in the food we eat, the peaches and apricots that came from China, the spices in our kitchens that once traveled thousands of miles. It's in the languages we speak, the religions people practice, and the art we admire. The Silk Road fundamentally demonstrated that no civilization is an island. It proved that connection, trade, and exchange are powerful engines of progress and innovation. Today, we re-seeing a modern revival of this ancient concept with the New Silk Road or the Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure project aiming to reconnect Asia, Europe, and Africa with new networks of railways, ports, and highways. It is a testament to the enduring power of the original idea that connecting people and places creates opportunity, prosperity, and a shared future. The Silk Road may no longer be a path for camel caravans, but its spirit of connection, curiosity, and exchange continues to shape our globalized world in profound ways. It reminds us that history is not just a series of isolated events, but a continuous story of human interaction, a journey we are all a part of. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this exploration of the Silk Road, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what ancient civilization or historical topic you'd like to see next. Until then, stay curious.